And it's protecting themselves, too, if they identify themselves. It's not just the person, because someone's going to fight back if you just think a strange person with their face covered is throwing you into a van. Most people will resist that.
It sounds like you have a specific case, and I would
be
happy to talk to you about that at a later time, because I'm not aware of that happening, but I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
Pam Bondi just had the kind of hearing you wish would end in a fire drill. It started calm, routine, polite. Then Senator Gary Peters stepped in, and the calm vanished. Peters didn't raise his voice or throw insults. He just asked questions that Pam clearly hoped no one would ever ask. Within minutes, the Attorney General who built her reputation on law and order started looking like she'd never read her own department's memos.
Oh, Senator Peters. Senator Peters is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, good to have you here. Welcome to the committee. General Bondi, leadership at DHS has claimed that ICE and others who are carrying out immigration enforcement activities and support are covering their faces to protect themselves from being doxxed. And certainly I fully understand those concerns, and I appreciate those concerns, and I think they're real concerns. But I'm deeply concerned that the lack of identification during these activities is dangerous, both to the public as well as to the officers themselves. The public risk being harmed by individuals pretending to be immigration enforcement, which has already happened. We've seen that happen. And these officers also risk being injured by individuals who think they're basically being kidnapped or attacked by some unknown assailant. So my question for you, Attorney General Bondi, is given the number of DOJ employees currently conducting immigration enforcement activities in support of DHS, how are you going to ensure that the safety of the public and the officers, if they continue to not follow required protocol to identify themselves as law enforcement?
And Senator Peters, that's the first time that issue has come to me about them you're saying that law enforcement officers, when they cover their faces.
Right.
I do know they are being doxxed, as you said. They're being threatened. Their families are being threatened. You know,
Again, I get that. But they have to identify themselves. There is an insignia oftentimes. They have to identify themselves as law enforcement. People think, here's a person coming up to me, not identified, covering themselves. They're kidnapping. They'll probably fight back. That endangers the officer as well. And that's a serious situation. People need to know that they're dealing with a federal law enforcement official.
Senator, I would be happy to look at that issue with you and talk to all of our partner law enforcement agencies. But I can assure you that if they're covering their faces now, it's to protect themselves. But they also want to protect all citizens. And that's something we can work together on to ensure the safety of everyone and their families.
Yeah. And it's protecting themselves, too, if they identify themselves. It's not just the person, because someone's going to fight back if you just think a strange person with their face covered is throwing you into a van. Most people will resist that.
It sounds like you have a specific case, and I would be happy to talk to you about that at a later time, because I'm not aware of that happening, but I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
We'd be happy to do it. I appreciate it.
The moment that set everything off was simple. Peters asked why ICE agents were covering their faces during immigration raids. That's it, one clean question. But instead of giving a straight answer, Bondi blinked like she'd just heard about it for the first time. "That's the first I've heard of it," she said, as if she wasn't the one in charge of the Department of Justice. The look on Peters' face said it all. This was going to be a long afternoon.
This month, the administration announced it was launching an effort to ramp up immigration apprehensions by shifting more than 5,000 personnel from across federal law enforcement, including approximately 2,000 from within the Justice Department, away from their typical duties to focus on immigration-related cases, including targeting individuals whose status had been terminated by this administration. This effort is on top of previous directives for department officials to focus on immigration enforcement. Many of these officials impacted by these directives, unsurprisingly, say they're being forced to turn their attention away from other national security missions, including counterterrorism and cyber security. There has been public reporting that hundreds of FBI agents have been reassigned to immigration-related duties, and raising real concerns among agents themselves that the shift could hinder investigations into terror threats and espionage by China and Russia. And we have also heard concerns about resources being reoriented at the state and local level. Attorney General Bondi, I know the Justice Department officials have said that this president can walk and chew gum at the same time, and that you continue to hold all criminals accountable regardless of immigration status. But numerous reports on the ground from career government officials and some basic common sense would beg to differ. Given the attacks on Iran over the weekend, this issue has become even more salient, with threats from terrorists inspired by Iran, cyber attacks, often by Iran itself, or additional efforts by that regime to go after government leaders. So my question is, how are you ensuring that there are enough resources focused on the full range of national security threats, and there's no shortage of those, when so many of our DOJ resources are being reallocated to immigration enforcement?
I talked to Director Patel or Deputy Director Bongino 7 days a week. I speak to my National Security Division. We meet every single day. Emil Bovey, who's currently with us, is doing an incredible job in the national security space as well, helping us. We are doing everything. We are using our resources on all fronts. And when you say immigration, immigration is going hand in hand with the people who have come into our country through our borders. I think just over 1,500 illegal aliens from Iran are here. Chinese individuals, Russian individuals, people from every country. That goes hand in hand with immigration, identifying them, finding them, and getting them out of our country. Will national security be compromised? Not at all, Senator. It will be increased. It will be enhanced.
Then came her attempt to sound in control. She started name-dropping officials like she was reading off her phone contacts. Patel, Bonino, Amal Boy, hoping the crowd would confuse busy with competent. But Peters didn't bite. He calmly pointed out that pulling FBI agents off counterterrorism and cybersecurity cases to chase immigration headlines might not be the genius plan she thought it was. You could almost hear the gears grinding in Bondi's head as she scrambled for something coherent.
I can tell you, every day we talk about this, multiple times a day, 7 days a week, as to what we can do, working hand in hand with DEA, ATF agents, FBI, Homeland Security, ICE, to make sure that our nation is safe. And FBI, they have a 24/7 center set up now, and actually we've set some up around the country, and you're welcome to actually come see one if you would like anytime. I would love to have you come in and see what we do, but we have that set up around our country on a national security level to be sure Americans are safe and do everything we can to get terrorists who are in our country out of our country.
Well, certainly, I don't disagree with any of that. That do obviously criminal elements that are there need to be taken care of. But you're also looking at cybersecurity, which is different. You're looking at counterterrorism issues that are different. And I don't believe that we were over-resourced in those areas. You may beg to differ. So they were not over-resourced. We were making sure that they had the resources to deal with the other threats. But now those people are being pulled off those jobs for another job. I just want to make sure that we're still doing things necessary to protect us from cyber threats, counterterrorism, and the long list of other threats that we face every day.
Thank you for those questions, and I know your background, and that's why it's so important to all of us. And yes, we are. And cybersecurity, I could go on for 2 hours about cybersecurity and what's happening. Not only that, the online child predators online, but the foreign terrorist threats through cybersecurity that we can talk about in a different setting. I'd be happy to discuss all of that with you and our efforts, not only made within our country, but with our partners worldwide.
Well, I'll look forward to having that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Senator.
Chairman.
By the time she said national security was actually being enhanced because agents were now catching illegal aliens from Iran, you could feel the room collectively cringe. Peters reminded her again that cybersecurity and terrorism are different issues. It was like watching someone try to plug a leak with a PowerPoint slide. When nothing else worked, she offered to set up a 2-hour private briefing for him later. Translation: I have no idea, let's change the subject. And that's the moment the meltdown was complete. Pam Bondi didn't just fumble the answers, she exposed exactly what happens when talking points meet real oversight.